you are either getting steamrolled or passed up on your value because you can't handle objections. For those of you who don't know, my name is Ted McDaniel, owner of Unitas Media, where we partner with restaurants to grow their value and recurring revenue. Please share and enjoy. Today, I'm thrilled to share my insights as an SDR. We'll go into 7 different objections I most commonly hear in my day-to-day and how I've handled them to book meetings. And all of this without sounding pushy. The consultative sell, not the aggressive sell. So to start us off, not interested, if not the number one objection ever. There are essentially 2 ways to handle this. First is to offer insight. That looks like not interested. I understand. Mind if I share a few points on other people who felt similar in the past, but ultimately came to find that this is something that actually helped them? If it resonates, perhaps we can explore further into what this can do for you. And the second way of handle it is to leave the door open to opportunity. It sounds like this. I'm not interested. I understand. If I could send you some information at a later date when it's more appropriate to address this sort of thing, what would you like to see? This is going to give you an avenue into if this is even something in their future, so there's potential, or if this person just isn't a good prospect fit. Now, this next one is most commonly what shuts down amateurs or new people into sales because they get intimidated. Let me explain. This is the we already have a vendor. This is how to handle it. The first is a gentle comparison. My personal favorite aligns with something like this. It's great to hear you have a solution in place. And in fact, I'm not saying we're better. I just think we're a little bit different. Here's how. And then you go into your differentiating statement. And after that differentiating statement, you can go for the close and summarize the points of we've talked about A, B, and C. Why don't we schedule a call to show you how this could help you specifically? That has been extremely helpful. The second way to handle this one is if they have heard of your company in the past or previously worked with you, but they switched to a vendor. Here's how to do that. This is going to be essentially a no pressure offer. So when they say, we're already working with someone, we've got a vendor, we've got somebody taking care of that. Acknowledge it. That makes sense. And then address with the differentiating factor. I'd love to share how we've actually upgraded our services recently. Just for your information, what would be a good time to show you what those upgrades can do for you? Now, the third one, anyone, especially in the technology industry, hears this all the time. Now is not a good time. It can get pretty hard sometimes, but here's how you can quickly address it to book your meeting. Let me show you how. The first one is a very tentative way to work around this. This is if you built up a lot of rapport with that prospect. Here's how you go about that. It's not a good time. It seems like now is not the best time for this sort of conversation. What would be a better time frame to speak about these kinds of initiatives? I'm fairly flexible and can work around your schedule. You're making them feel at the center of the world with this one. Now, the second way I'd handle this is as follows. Now, this works really well in hospitality and those kinds of industries. Here is what this sounds like. It's called the quick check-in. So prospect says, now is not a good time. You say in the quick check-in, no problem at all. What's going to be a better time to have this conversation? A brief call then might be better worth your time so you can get your questions also answered. Here, you just put everything in their court. Time is the biggest asset for people, and you want to make sure you're making the best use of it and respecting their time. Hey, I want to quickly thank you for spending your time and attention with me today. I know it's extremely valuable, so I'll make this quick. I appreciate you tuning in here and want to say if you found one of these tips helpful so far in handling objections, subscribe and expect more of this professional objection handling, what an SDR is like, overcoming those objections, so you can either get better in your role or get better in your business. Looking forward to it, and as always, thank you for your most valuable asset, your attention. Let's get back into it. Now, the next one is monetary. When it comes to business, you will I always hear this objection every single time. It is the, we don't have a budget for that. The two ways that I handle it are one, future planning, or two, the informative approach. Here's what those sound like. So for the future planning, they say, we don't have a budget for that right now. You say, budgets can be tight. And I get that. Note your experiences here. Anytime that you've worked with someone in the past with the previous budget problem, insert that right there. Then you're going to put it back on the court and say, I know budgets can be tight. To see if it would even make sense to have that kind of partnership, why don't we schedule a brief conversation with me and my colleague to show you exactly how we could do X, Y, Z. Super simple. This puts the power back in their hands to schedule it. Now, the informative approach is a little bit different. In a similar style, you're going to make sure that they have all the information rather than relying on the future plan. So the informative style sounds like this. We don't have the budget for something like that right now. That totally makes sense. Actually, why don't we schedule a quick call to make sure you have all the information for when the timing is right for you and your team. What does day and time sound like? So there, you not only handled the objection, you've also gone for a quick close. Up next, if you're actually an SDR yourself or you're experienced cold calling, I guarantee you've heard this one. Send me an email. Here's how I've handled that and booked people right then and there. The first thing is gathering information, and the second is a brief clarification. Let me explain. So for gathering information, when they say send me an email, I'll look at it. Here's what I say. Send me an email. I say, absolutely, what's the best email to send that over? Great. Now, what would you specifically like to see in that email to make the best use of your time? They list out some things, a general overview, specific comparisons they'd like to see. Right then and there, when they've given me a reason, I'll say, yeah, that definitely is something I can send some brief literature on, but what most people I've talked to have found most beneficial for their time instead of playing email tag is like a 17-minute conversation where you can get your questions answered and you have all the information present. What does day and time look like for you? Again, handled the objection very nicely, and you've gone for the close. Now, the brief clarification is a little bit different. Instead of going for the close, you're going to move into discovery again. So this is typically for prospects who are exceptionally difficult working with. They're very closed off of information. Cybersecurity is a common industry where this happens. And so the best thing to do is to first get their email. So similar to the first one, when they say, send me an email, say, yep, what's the best email that I can reach at? Perfect, you've got that information. Now, as you briefly clarify, this is what you're gonna say next. You get the best email. Now, as you briefly clarify, you are going to ask, what specifically would you like to see? I know we've covered A, B, and C. Typically, what other people in your position have wanted to see is X, Y, Z. Is that something that you would like to see as well? What else am I missing? This gives them a chance to learn three things. One, you have listened to them throughout the call. Two, you provided social proof for other people in their situation. And three, give them the opportunity to open up about more of their personal problems and how you can book them the reasons that they would take a call. Now, the final two just might surprise you. We've covered basically everyone so far. Now, the final two just might surprise you. Let me explain. This one is most commonly for CTOs, directors, the higher level of the business food chain. They're going to say, I'm too busy right now. Here's where you approach it in two different ways: time efficiency and effective scheduling. So when the prospect says, I don't have time right now, you caught me at a bad time. Here's how you handle it for time efficiency. The prospect says, I'm busy right now. I'm in a meeting. Totally understand. I caught you at a bad time and it is a cold call. Do you mind if I share 20 seconds for the reason for the call to see if a callback would even make sense? There you've opened up the opportunity to continue talking with them about the conversation and vet them as a good prospect to continue with or one that you can disqualify. Now, for flexible scheduling, this is if you understand the objection. If they're truly in a meeting, you can hear other people in the background or something similar, then you want to play the empathy card and be flexible with their schedule. Their objection is, I'm too busy right now. I'm in a meeting. Understood. What time works best to briefly reconnect about XYZ, the subject that you're talking about? This gives them the power to say, oh, we're not totally interested in that, or yeah, this would be a good time. Then you follow up appropriately. Remember, you're calling people too. Don't be that guy who pushes and pushes and pushes. If someone was doing that to you, what would you do? Exactly. Now, for the final one, Now for the final one, I see this most commonly in people who are lower on the business food chain, who don't have decision-making authority, or are boots on the ground personnel. Here's the objection. I'm not the right person to speak with about this. Here's how you handle that. First and foremost, show appreciation and ask. Second, you're gonna ask softly for a referral. So for appreciate and ask, sorry, I'm not the right person. Oh, thank you for letting me know. I'm so sorry. Do you know who might be the best person to connect with about XYZ? I'd be happy to reach out at a time that would best suit them. Now, the second way I'd handle that, I'm not the right person to speak with. I understand. And it seems like this isn't really in your wheelhouse of responsibilities, and I get that. So I'm trying to get a hold of the person responsible for XYZ. Who might be the best person to connect with about that? Now, here's where we get the referral. They're going to either send you to the main directory, or they're going to get you a work number and an email. Either way, show appreciation at the end by saying, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And sorry for the call in the middle of your day. I'll give you back that time. Now, they feel heard. They feel that you've shown appreciation for their efforts. And overall, you ended the call on a good note. So if they happen to talk with that person, they'll say, oh yeah, this person was looking for you. They won't say, yeah, some dude tried to call me trying to find you. Ugh. You bring off that good energy. Essentially, handling objections is just like having a conversation. You're going to address what the problem is, show some differentiating factors, and then move on. Similar styles you can also look up are the feel, felt, found method, agree, respond, transition, agree, respond, overcome, and the direct and indirect objection handling methods. It is possible to be both respectful and effective in scheduling meetings. You can do this. Thank you for your attention as always. I promise to make the best use of it. See you in the next video.